Let me grab my note cards.
Right.
My very official looking note cards.
I feel honored.
Yeah, welcome in. So, good evening, everyone. Good afternoon, whenever you're watching this. Hello, Jag Nation. This is Kevin Vela coming at you from LBJ Early College High School here in Austin, Texas. If you're not familiar with LBJ, we are the Proud Purple. We are the Jaguars. I have a very special guest with me today. Thank you for tuning in for our very first episode. Before I get to my guest, I have a few announcements to get through from our campus. We have 2 new clubs that have just started off, very exciting. We have the Crocheting Club for all of our knitters out there, and I'm just like, stitch please, because it's stitching. I don't know how crocheting works, that's fine. We also have a Rubik's Cube Club, which is very puzzling as well. Pause for laughter, because it's a puzzle. Anyway, that's fine. Welcome in to my very first guest, Mr. Barnes. How are you today, sir?
How you doing, sir?
I'm doing great. I'm doing great. Tell us a little bit about your history at LBJ High School here.
Amazing. I grew up in Austin, so
Okay.
I grew up in the community. I'm from the kids' college 78723. I
Sure.
grew up in 23 right here. Beginning, I went to Wynn Elementary, Pecan Springs Elementary. I went to Pierce Middle School, and my first 2 years of high school, I went to LBJ.
Okay, right on.
And then my last 2 years of high school, I went to Lanier High School, now Navarro.
Not Navarro. Okay.
Yeah,
Was
yeah.
there a specific reason for that change?
Just something different.
Sure.
So when I went here in 94, 95, LBJ a little bit rougher. I was
Sure.
a good kid, so sometimes I wasn't learning it like I should. Even though I passed Algebra 1, I didn't really know algebra. So I just
Sure.
wanted a change for academically. And so when I went to Navarro or Lanier, it was a blue ribbon school. So academically, it was really, really high. So
Sure.
I enjoyed that too. So.
Was LASA here at the time when you were going to school here?
It
Was it still
was-
kind of that weird, like kind of almost segregated front, first story, second story?
Good question. It was called the Science Academy.
Okay.
So it was similar, but we still had like classes together and stuff like that. And then I think in maybe 2001 or 2, they brought the Liberal Arts Academy from Johnston and combined it with the Science Academy, and then you had LASA.
Sure.
And then I think we did share the building and stuff for like the same principal for a little while, and then eventually they split around maybe 2013, 14. They started to have their own principal, own everything, own
Sure.
bookkeeper, everything.
Nice.
And they stayed for a few more years, and then they went to the new campus, and we stayed here.
Right. Exactly. Now we finally have our own campus to
Yes.
make with our own.
Yeah, definitely.
How long have you been working here? at
Since
LBJ?
2012.
2012.
I've been with the district as a student, 13 years as a student, and
Yeah.
maybe going on 16 years as an employee.
Wow.
So that's a long time to be at one organization.
Right, exactly. Oh, I'm sure they're very lucky to have you.
Definitely.
You had asked me in passing in classroom, you heard that I'm very much into like mixing and mastering.
Yes.
How long have you been making beats? Is that something you're incredibly passionate about? Just something for fun? Be honest.
That's how we grew up, like in this area. When I grew up, DJ Screw was big. So
Sure, yeah.
Yeah, so that was a big thing in the 90s, and so in the neighborhood I grew up in, that's what we all kind of did. We kind of did stuff like that, and so been doing music for a long time, but we'll get together.
Yeah,
and
for
you
sure.
hear what I got in there. Yeah. So.
Any major thoughts of getting behind the mic, or are you more of just kind of behind the scenes producer kind of guy?
That's a good question. Probably have some of the kids. It's like I have a different, like, I call it it's like poetry in a way. It's different from anything you probably heard, but
Sure.
you'll definitely hear it soon. And so it's totally different than anything you probably ever heard.
That's awesome.
Yeah, definitely.
Carving your own little niche genre in there,
Yeah,
man. I
definitely.
like it.
Definitely.
So we have Principal Appreciation Week going on. Our new fearless leader, Randy Bryant, who is an assistant principal here with us for quite a long time. How have you felt under his leadership thus far for Principal Appreciation? I mean, I know this is only his first year as our interim principal, but in the past, how have you felt about that?
Really good question. When he first came from Chicago, he was in my room. Even though he had his master, he was my TA.
Oh, really? Interesting.
So, I mean,
Okay.
I'm talking about the first day we talked for about 3 hours.
Really?
Yeah. So we've been like that for a long time. So when he first came, we talked like he came in my room. He was my TA because they were trying to get his situation squared away, coming from Chicago, his paperwork and everything. So he stayed in my room for probably like a semester. That ended up being like the assistant like wrestling coach, then the head wrestling coach. CT department head,
Wow.
and then he left for a little bit, then came back. I think he went downtown for a few years, and then when Miss Henry came over, wanted him to be the assistant principal. Then he was the assistant principal, and now he's the principal. So when the first person he ever met, really in Austin, was me.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it was kind of amazing.
So we got a direct lifeline to our principal right there.
Definitely.
What were you teaching at the time that he was a TA?
Still life skills.
Okay, right on.
Yeah, he was my TA in life skills. Just to, get his paperwork situated, and then once he got that semester done, he had his own classroom because he'd been teaching before he came to Texas, but we got different requirements for you to have. So he had to get that requirements, take care, move his family in and stuff like that. And then once he got that done, he started teaching right away.
Sure. And I understand that you're a tennis fan as well, is that correct?
Yes, I'm the head tennis coach.
Head tennis coach.
I like tennis, but my main sport is basketball.
Okay, right on.
Yes.
What led you into the tennis? Just needed to fill a vacancy, interest in it, or what led you to that interest-wise?
Good question. My dad, rest in peace, he would always take me fishing, basketball, and tennis.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, so
that's a great mix.
Yeah, it's a good mix. So we go fishing most of the time, listen to music, talk to him, or we go play basketball.
Sure. All
the time, but then sometimes we'll play tennis. My dad was pretty good. He actually beat a few professionals before.
Oh, very good.
So he was really good, and he taught me a little bit, and so I knew the game. Also, when you go to college, you can take a course, like, you can take volleyball and tennis, so end up taking tennis, and then the coach there was like, man, you should have played in high school, I definitely, because I can play, but I didn't play in high school. I definitely played for fun.
I had like a brief flirtation with tennis. My older brother played tennis in high school, so I would go out practicing with him. It's a fun sport in my brain. I'm not very athletic, but I love just the short pacing and then a lot of hand-eye coordination.
Definitely. I think it coincides with basketball.
Totally.
The lateral movement, hand-eye coordination. So.
Yep. How long have you been the tennis coach here?
Good question. Since 2018.
Okay, so you've definitely had some experience.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yes, and also some of the kids don't know this. 2018, we won LBJ first state title in anything.
Really?
Yes, we won state title. Some of the kids don't know. Some of the community don't know.
Wow, exclusive.
Exclusive. So, we had hundreds of football athletes come through, basketball athletes come through, volleyball athletes, but LBJ 10 was the first state championship in LBJ history.
That's incredible.
Ever, 2018.
Under your leadership, no less.
Yes, we always kind of made it, but what I brought to the table is the weights and running.
Sure.
And then my basketball IQ, when we made to the finals, it was a left-handed kid was killing us. He was killing us, and I told the kids, that's basketball, right? You got to see somebody's left-handed or right-handed. I told them because when you a left-handed player in tennis, the ball's coming from a different angle and a different spin.
Right.
So make this adjustment, and then once you make that adjustment, we start to dominate. We won state.
It's crazy how just what seems so simple of changing that can be so complicated when it comes to sports.
Definitely, because the adjustment, again, I don't know why they didn't pick it up. They should have picked it up, but I like, fellas, hey, this is a left-handed player. The ball's coming from a different angle, different spin.
Sure.
Let's make this adjustment, see what happens, and once we make the adjustment, we won state. So.
Right on. Mm-hmm. Well, in closing here for you, Mr. Barnes, this is kind of part of our 50th anniversary, LBJ 50 years ago. What do you think the next 50 years of LBJ will look like?
That's a good question. I think Mr. Bryant's main purpose right now is get our academics up to par with our sports.
Sure.
Because we always known for sports here, as far as basketball, football, volleyball, other sports, but he wants to make sure that we're just as, like lots of top 10 in America as far as academically. He wants to push the academics here as much as the athletics.
Sure.
We don't want to be known as just a sports school, Right. We want kids to come in for academics too. So I think our main push for the next 50 years is the academic piece.
That's
we got the sports in control, but right now we need to make sure our academic piece is up to par with athletics.
Right on.
Yes.
I think that's a great goal, and I think that's achievable. Once you start getting great people in here,
Definitely.
It's going to be helpful. So
definitely. So I think that's our main, focus right now because, again, I think we had TEA here today, checking us out. So I think our main goal, Mr. Bryant's main goal right now is to get our academics up to par, passing all the STAR tests and everything. And then once we do that, we probably get more funding in here, different programs, maybe podcasting, just different programs he wants to bring to the table. But I think our number one priority right now is our academics at LBJ High School.
Right on. That sounds like a bright future for 50 years,
Yeah.
man. Long time coming.
Yeah, definitely.
But Mr. Barnes, it's been a pleasure having you on, man. Thanks for being on our first pilot episode. I know it was forced on you.
Well, no, it's perfect. I mean, like I said, I'm from the community. Grew up in Austin all my life. I love the community. I used to play in the creek, ride my bike. You know, I mean, I love it. You know, I mean, the kids call it, 78723. That's where I grew up, and I love the community. I'm still here, trying to give back, and so thank you. I appreciate it.
Absolutely, Ms. Barnes. Thank you, and thank you guys for watching. We'll be back, I believe, on Thursday. I believe we have locked down Mr. Ray Jackson and Dr. Loney to be our next guest, hosted by the lovely Donovan, who you can't see now, but he's back in the studio being very excited. I hope you were taking notes, young man. Stay tuned for next time, and we will see you guys later. Thank you so much.
Thank you.